He didn't invent a product. He didn't build an empire. He inherited one. Terrance Watanabe was born into wealth. His father built a business empire from the ground up, Oriental Trading Company, and when Terry took over, the future looked promising. But here's the part no one saw coming. Terry didn't grow the legacy. He gambled it away, literally. Over $200 million lost in Las Vegas, a personal fortune incinerated under neon lights and the illusion of power. This is not just a story about gambling. It's about what happens when someone tries to buy meaning with money they didn't earn. And it begins not in the chaos of the casino, but in the quiet inheritance of a man unsure of who he really was. Terry Watanabe inherited the reins of Oriental Trading in the late 90s, a company built from scratch by his father. It sold party supplies, novelty toys, cheap trinkets that made millions. But Terry wasn't his father. He didn't have the drive or the hunger to build. What he had was access. He sold the company in 2000, and with that deal, Terry Watanabe became a multi-millionaire overnight. His net worth? Over $204 million. And no one really knew what he would do next. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but Terry didn't retire. He didn't invest. He disappeared into a world of indulgence. He walked into Caesar's palace and never really walked out. He wasn't a visitor. He became a resident of Vegas, a legend for all the wrong reasons. Inside the casinos, Terry became a fantasy guest. He was given a penthouse suite, a butler, a private gambling host, and an endless flow of alcohol. They called him a whale, not because of his size, but because of how much money he poured into their tables. At his peak, Terry was gambling up to $5 million per day. He once lost $127 million in a single year. The casinos loved him. He made them rich, and in return, they made him feel powerful. But here's the truth. Terry wasn't chasing money. He was chasing feeling, validation, control. When you inherit wealth, you don't earn the identity. Terry didn't know who he was without the fortune, so he built a new identity at the blackjack table, at the poker room, surrounded by bottle service, private jets, and illusion. But illusions don't last. By 2007, the fortune was nearly gone. He was over $15 million in debt just to Harrah's Entertainment. Other casinos had cut him off. He was banned from credit, his accounts frozen. Lawsuits followed. Watanabe tried to sue Caesar's palace, claimed they exploited his addiction, that they kept him drunk, seduced him with women, and gave him pills to keep him awake. It didn't work. The world saw the truth. A man who destroyed a legacy trying to feel significant. The saddest part? He never lived lavishly outside of Vegas. No mansion empire, no global business, just casino suites and regrets. Terry didn't want to look rich. He wanted to feel rich. And that distinction is what destroyed him. Compare that to Ronald Read, a janitor who quietly invested for decades, who wore flannel shirts and drove an old car, who died with $8 million, and no one knew. 2 men, 2 fortunes, 2 lives, one built on intention, the other on impulse. One invisible, the other impossible to ignore. Both ended in silence. So what can we learn? That wealth without purpose is a burden, and performance without discipline is a trap. Terry Watanabe wasn't stupid. He was lost. And the world around him handed him rope, then watched him hang with it. In the end, he became a case study, a warning sign, a name casinos don't brag about anymore. But his story still matters, because it proves something vital. If you don't define wealth for yourself, the world will sell you a version that destroys you. At Richchemy, we reveal the stories the world tried to forget, the fortunes lost and found, the people who chased illusions and paid the price. If you believe that wealth is more than money, that power without purpose is hollow, then subscribe. Because sometimes the richest lessons come from the most expensive mistakes. And Terrance Watanabe made one worth over $200 million. But this story doesn't just end in the casino. After losing everything, Terry vanished from the public eye. His name became a whisper in Vegas, a cautionary tale. A man who once walked through the most exclusive doors now disappeared into silence. And yet, the systems that cheered him on, they remained. The hosts who poured his drinks, the casinos that kept him awake for days, the whispers that fed his need to feel powerful. They moved on, unchanged, ready for the next Terry. That's the hidden cost. Not just the money, but the vacuum left behind, the time that can't be returned, the respect that can't be bought back. And the years Terry could have spent creating something that outlived him, instead wasted trying to feel like someone he never was. It's not the loss that defines a man. It's what he chases. And Terry chased a feeling so aggressively, he forgot the value of stillness, of enough, of legacy. Now compare that to the quiet power of someone like Ronald Read, who never made the news, never bought a sports car, never stayed in a Vegas suite, but left behind a fortune, a lesson, a name, carried with respect. In this world, you can spend everything trying to feel rich, or you can build something that quietly proves you are. Richchemy doesn't chase the headlines. We chase the truth beneath the gold. Subscribe to learn how the real game of wealth is played, slowly, silently, and with purpose.